I've lost the books. I don't know where they are.
Friends, welcome back to the channel. Sarah from Ink and Hue Colouring here. Today's tutorial will be in Wildflower Folk by Christine Karron, and the page we are going to look at today is The Old Wise Fairy. Last month, a request came through to colour this page as the requestor was interested in looking at how to colour aged skin and hair. And so I thought, what a great opportunity for a video. And they also mentioned that the only pencils that they have are Polychromos and Prismacolor. So my color selection today only includes Polychromos and Prismacolor. Would you believe? I'm just going to be using 2 pencil brands today. I can do this. So for the first part of this video, we will be focusing on mature skin and hair, and I will do the rest of the page on camera as well, so you can just stay for the portrait skin and hair element if you like. Now, you may have noticed with my color selection as well, I've got a fair amount of muted colors, but I do have a pop of bright colors as well, just to keep things a little bit interesting and nice and bright. I don't tend to go for fully muted color palettes these days, but I can certainly make an exception. Now, the reason why I wanted to go with something a little bit muted is because when we color mature skin, it's probably a good idea to use cooler skin tones if you can, because as we age, there's a component in our skin that tends to diminish, that leaves our skin tone looking more on the cooler side as we age and less on the warmer side. So there is a difference in like blood flow to the face and all the bits and pieces. I'm not a dermatologist, so I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what happens, but I am going to be going for cooler colors on her face and her hair today. And I also think that gray hair doesn't have to be gray, so I'm going to be threading some other colors through there too. So the goal is by the end of today to have successfully colored mature skin and hair. So let's dive straight in. Let's start with the skin tone. Okay, so the first color I'm going to use is Pink Rose, which is PC 1018 in the Prismacolor. Now, I've chosen this pink specifically because it is a bit more of a cooler pink. I'm going to avoid all the classic bright pinks and the nectars and things like that, because they're a little bit too warm and I want my base color to be a little bit cooler. So this pink is my base color. And I'm gonna start by applying this over majority of the area. So I'm gonna use a light pressure. And just go over. Now, I should have said it at the start too, that there are multiple ways to colour mature skin. So this isn't an exhaustive, only do it this way, there is no other way. There are plenty of different ways. So I'd call this maybe the gospel according to Sarah when it comes to mature skin. In 2026, who knows, maybe in 2027 I'll have a different opinion. So over most of this. It's probably really hard to see on camera because I am going so lightly, and it's one of those things that, yeah, requires layering. This is how I like to color skin. And I'll show you the face and then we can do the rest in time lapse because it's going to be the same principles, the same theory, the same methods, I think. So I'm just going to avoid, see how we've got a little bit of laugh lines and things around her face and her eyes and her forehead. So I'm going to ignore those at this stage with this color, and we can gently accent those later. I don't think we necessarily need to do that now. So much cooler pink. Yeah, like I was saying, I still do have a little bit of warmer colors and some bright colors too, because I just don't want everything to look completely flat, because she is a fairy. She's an old wise fairy, and I think fairies have a lot of color. So the gaps that I'm pretty much leaving are just the highlight areas. So on the chin, the nose, and a bit of the forehead it'll be as well. I do have a video on how to color portraits with Prismacolor pencils. My style has changed a little bit, but the principles do apply. So I tend to, these days, use less pencils. And you'll see what I mean as we go through this video. But, yeah. the principles still apply. So you can watch that and see if that is helpful to you. Maybe you're someone that likes using more pencils. See how you go with it. A bit in the shadows. So in future, when it comes to the hands and her throat as well, we're gonna do the exact same thing, but I don't need to repeat myself. So you would just follow the same process. I would like to have this video in a watchable format, so I won't do everything real time because we'll just be sitting here for about 10 hours because portraits can take a long time. So you'll see it, but it'll be sped up and it'll be the exact same. The only thing that's probably a little bit different is I'll have a little bit of blush here, I think. And we'll do the ears too. Now, and I'm pretty much, I reckon, will I just go over it? Yeah. And we can do multiple layers of this color. We'll get the face done. Bit more in there. So I'm just colouring over the laugh lines. We can, yeah, we'll accent those a bit more, but you don't need to go too heavy to start off with. And if you don't have any grayscale colouring books, if you're only looking at like a Hannah Carlzon, for example, that doesn't have all the shading, you could find a portrait that has the same facial expression, the same angle, and you could just kind of like copy visually, if you like, the spots where all the lines are. Bring out a bit here as well. So you can use it, this as a reference if you need to. So cooler pink. Even though pink is a warm color in general, you can get cooler shades of it, which is what I've gone for today. So if I show you, see I've got deco pink here, and I've got rosy beige, no, it's not rosy beige, pink rose. If you look at the pencil tips, see this pink looks a little bit more muted and a tiny bit more cool compared to this that looks really bright and, you know, youthful, you could say. More like a baby pink, whereas this is like a mature pink. It's subtle, but subtleties make the difference in my little opinion on the internet, so. And again, these techniques that I'm using today, the context is colouring books because I do my art in colouring books. I don't draw my own portraits or anything like that, so we may get a little bit of a difference in opinion if you're, say, wanting to do these from scratch and like draw all the texture in yourself on a really like macro kind of level. Be a little bit different. So, and let's just cover over the lips too, because I like to use the same colours generally for the lips these days. A bit more around the nose. Bit around there. Okay, so cooler pink activated. We're going to put this to the side for now. The next colour that I'm going to use is going to be Sienna Brown, PC945. This is a bit of a warm brown, but it's not as warm as the burnt ochre, but when applied in conjunction with the cooler pink, it's going to work. So I'm going to start by going to the shadow areas, and I'll sharpen this. And I'm not going to bring it out as far as the pink at this stage. I might in some areas if I feel I need to. So see how I'm just going over the shadowed areas, and if you're using a portrait that has no grayscale, start from the edges and then work in like shallow areas that are quite deep, so like the eye sockets, the nose bridge. We can start to just focus your pencil tip around some of these markings, but again, let's not go too crazy too soon because it's easier to add it and layer it than it is to take away. So we'd be emphasizing a little bit under the eyes. In the cheekbones as well. And this part of the nose, I'm just going to go lightly and then around the tip here. Shadow that. I'm still just like following the shadows, and you could get your pencil when it's really sharp and like feather over these lines a little bit, and you could add them in if you're doing a portrait with no grayscale. Add them in really lightly. It'll probably take a bit of practice. I haven't done mature skin in any of Hannah's pictures because I haven't felt like any of her subjects are in that age category. I've always done them young. I think I've done an older one in Emily Liederhall Oberg, and she had some lines drawn in. And so it's just a matter of accentuating those intentionally and delicately, of course. We don't want to, you know, create massive craters because we don't have massive craters, do we? I mean, maybe I will by the time I'm, you know, 80, I don't know. So I'm just going lightly still. She needs, like I was saying at the start, like we want a bit of warmth, we want a bit of something, but it's just like if we can work on our base tones. And there's a way that you can add subtle warmth in too without going too far, I think anyway. But it depends too on the ethnicity, I think. So I'm using a very Anglo-Saxon skin tone. So this isn't, you know, the only way to do it. There's lots of other colours and ethnicities for sure. So it depends on what you're looking for and what you envision when you see the artwork. So keep that in mind too. But in a general sense, we're going for cooler skin tones. Or, whoops, I did a massive line there. Or cooler pencil choices. Bit under here, and I'm just going to lightly my aim is to just cover up the grey, so you just see the brown, but I'm trying not to go too thickly, but we'll cover up more of this as we go. So I've chosen Prismacolor for the skin tone because they are a softer pencil. Generally for me and my colouring style, a softer pencil for me, I'll get a better result with portraits. You absolutely can do them with oil-based or pencils that have more of an oil ratio. Absolutely, there's plenty of people that do them. For me, just with, I don't know, my couple years experience and my haven't gone to art school, figuring it out via YouTube experience, softer pencils for me, I'll just get a better result. So hence why I'm using Prismacolor. And I'll probably do the same for the hair. And that's based on how I colour as well. I'm not really going for strand by strand realism with the hair these days. I don't. So it just suits my colouring style. But you could actually absolutely, sorry, not actually, you could absolutely go Polychromos if that suits you. So if you would like to have strand by strand and see all the detail, then yeah, use polys. Just add a little bit like that. And under the hair, we'd have a little bit of shadow. So see how we can still see some of the pink? I haven't fully covered it. I've covered most of it, but not everything. And we can absolutely go back and add more pink. Just when we've put one colour down, it doesn't mean that we can't pick it up again. I like to colour in layers anyway. So what we will be doing is, yeah, the neck and the hands will be the same theory. The same method, the same everything. So yeah, for the sake of time for this video, we'll speed that one up. I absolutely go into like a colouring vortex when I do portraits, and I always like forget how much time I've actually spent on it. Okay, so we've got some darker lines here at the very edge. I'm just going to grab, while this is still sharp, the pencil and just like stroke over it. So I can kind of cover up some of that black grey colour and for it to be more brown. And I've said in other videos too, if you've watched them, that I kind of feel like this helps me get a good guideline for how dark my colours should be, because I have said before that I tend to err on the side of caution and will go too light for my skin tone. So if I outline it a little bit, I can see how much room I've got to really like deepen up those colours. But like, don't go too heavy with it because then it'll just look overdone. So I'm just doing it really lightly. Like that, and then we can, there's a little bit there too. More down here. And let's do a little bit of the lip too. I generally like a natural lip. You might want something that's like a completely different color. Go for your life. I don't know. I look at my lips in the mirror and they're kind of like, even though they're different, they're kind of the same color as my face, but like not the same. So they're like a darker version of it. So I'm just going to use the same colors, but it'll just be different concentrations of it. So it's going to look different. Same, but different. Just going to do it like that. And before I pick up another color, see if she's got these little laugh lines around her lips. You Just go over those a little bit like that and just accentuate them a little bit. Delicately does it. You know, don't do this page after you've had 10 coffees and you're like, ugh. Steady hand and delicately does it. A bit of that. Tiny bit there, tiny bit there. Okay. She's building up. If you love colouring skin, especially mature skin, and if you have any tips, any go-to tips that you would love to share with everyone, leave them in the comments below. I'm sure we could all benefit from your wisdom. Absolutely. Maybe there's something that, you know, I'm simply not noticing or that you think might go well. Maybe you're a very experienced portrait artist and you know what works. Add it in. Sharing is caring. Or you might like to keep your trade secrets, and that's fair too. All right, I'm almost at the point where I'm going to leave this colour for now. Wow, I said that really, like, leave it for now. I'm so ochre. Oh my gosh. All my non-Australian friends, I apologise. And if you want to bring out some of the colour past the pink, go for it. You absolutely can, because we're going light enough where we can mix it all together and it'll be great. So go for it. A bit in there. Let's add the pink back. So Pink Rose, PC 1018. I'm just going to do another layer of it, I think. So I've only used 2 colours so far, which is great. I'm so used to using like 50 colours, and of course there's nothing wrong with that. Like, gosh, you do what you want. I just, it helps my brain process things when I've got less for portraits. Just going to accent the lines a little bit more. So just dragging the colour out a little bit further this time and continuing to blend it with the brown. I'd say that's the difference between the first layer of pink and the second. My intention's changed. Need to blend it. Still maintaining a light pressure. And you can see I'm still maintaining some highlight areas as well. I'll probably eventually close them up, but if I do, it'll be like maybe with 1 layer or 2 opposed to like 10. So we could just go the sides a little bit just to around the nose. The tip of the nose can be whiter. And more around this lip area, I think. Way more. And we could concentrate the pencil a little bit more on these lines that are over the top. See how that's just deepening that a little bit? I mean, gosh, I hope you can see it. Get your spectacles out. And the ears too, I always forget the ears. I always build up some lovely colour on the face and then like, why do my ears look horrible? It's because I didn't do them. And let's just go on the like inside of the eye as well. Like not the eyeball, but like the inside of the eyelid. And And then let's add a bit more to the lips. So see how, yeah, I'm using the same colors, but because the brown's a little bit more concentrated, it looks darker, but without using 50 pencils. So if you have a smaller set, this can be helpful because you don't always have to use a million colors. I mean, you might want to, and that's totally up to you. There's so many times where I'm just like, all the colors all the time, and that is fine. But there isn't any obligation to get a huge set if it's not in your budget, so. Okay, building up the color. The next color that I'm going to add is cream in the Prismacolor. Now I find adding a very subtle yellow to the highlight areas adds a bit of glow, and it also adds a little bit of warmth. If you look at my particular skin tone, if you look closely, you can probably see a little bit of yellow in there. And I have no idea if I have a warm or cool skin tone because I suit both silver and gold, but I've got a bit of yellow in there in my hands, so I'm gonna add it in. And I'm gonna blend it through the whole area, but just lightly, and just probably focus it more on the highlight areas. Hence what I mean, like, I don't want her face to look completely cool because she is alive and she is well and she has blood flowing through her veins. So we need a little bit, but the undertone, the underneath bits, the foundation that all of this sits on is cooler. So blending all of this together. So if there's one thing that you can take away from today is just your base color, pick a cooler one. Maybe you're someone that's not really well versed on warm and cool colors yet, and that's fine. You're still picking it up. See if you can do your best to find, in your opinion, what a cool color looks like, and use that like a cool pink. I think we need to add in more of that brown now. So I'm going to go back to Sienna Brown, PC 945, and I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to keep layering it up. So go from the corners, find your laugh lines, add those in, keep chipping away, working away at that. The reason why I'm picking the brown is because she's still looking a little bit washed out to me. I do want to have a bit more depth of color before I add my darkest brown, which is a grand total of 4 pencils at the minute. Sometimes I don't know what other pencils I want to add in until I'm halfway through it. So I think just starting with a smaller collection, a smaller combination can help too, because then you can kind of figure out where you need to go. Because often we're not going to see exactly everything at the start. Sometimes we can, and that is awesome when that happens, but a lot of the time we can't, and that's okay. So see how with my pencil I'm doing light little circles? This is so I can get the color evenly, and you're not going to see the edge of every stroke, because if you go back and forth like that, the stopping and the going the other direction with the pencil, you can get like dots at the end of it. So for example, with this, if I was just going back and forth like that, see how that's like such a harsh edge on all of these? But if I go like that, even though yes, I'm layering, it's more subtle. So I might go back and forth on some lines and stuff, but I'm going light enough. But over the main areas, it's called scumbling. But if that's too technical for the technical club, just go, I'm doing little circles. And feeling great about it. All right, building up some nice color, which is awesome. Let's go around this part of the mouth here. I kind of left that. So this kind of tone, this kind of depth of this brown is what I'm looking for her face. I'm going to try and match that to this side. Often it's easier for me to get one side done and looking good, and I've got to work at the other side a little bit more. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I'm left-handed and that's an easier angle. I don't know. Who would know? Accentuate that a little bit more there. And this line too. So with these lines, we've kind of got like subtle texture. We're not going into full like divots and pores and things like that. We're just a little bit of stuff. Got a bit of that in. More around this. Okay, we're getting there. Getting there. Okay, let me just accentuate some of these ear lines a little bit. I think how many layers you do really depends on your hand pressure as well, like your default hand pressure. So you might need to do less layers. You might need to do more. Let's get a bit of shading against that hairline too, because that'll probably have a bit of shadow there. Yeah, there we go. Bring a bit more out here. Let's bring a little bit up into the hairline. Just a tiny bit, because just so we don't have a harsh line, I want the hair colors to blend in, because you naturally will see a bit of your scalp at your hairline too, because it's not like a solid wall of color. We're not Astro Boy. we don't have Ken and Barbie helmet hair. So let's bring a little bit in. Could say the same for like part of the eyebrows as well. Under the eye a little bit more. Okay. Now what I want to do is add more pink. So again, pink rose, PC 1018. Or whatever pink you have. It doesn't have to be Prismacolor. And I'm just going to blend this in even further before I add my darkest brown. And that's purely just going to be for shadows and stuff. So I'm just working my way around the entire face. If I'm seeing gaps where I'm like, oh, she looks a bit like the color looks a bit shallow, a little bit light, then I'm just adding more in. Changing my pencil angle just so I can get this nose bridge like that. I I'm pressing a little bit harder, but not too hard. I'm like, it's now like a light to medium pressure. Definitely medium in some ways, some areas. So guys, this is 3 pencils. You don't need 50 if you don't want. But hey, you might be in the mood for that. So totally your vibe. And we could do a little bit more on the cheeks. Could give her a bit of something. I'm trying to figure out, well, I'll find out eventually if I just want to use the darkest color for like some blush or something, or if I actually want to add some rouge in. Don't know yet. We'll see. What are we, 40 minutes? Like I said, I just get lost in this. Okay, now let's add our darkest brown, and that is going to be Espresso PC 1099. And I'm just going to brush off my pencil dust. Now I've chosen Espresso number 1 because it's a darker brown, but number 2, to me, it's a cooler brown. If there is such a thing, I actually don't technically know, but to me, it is. So I'm going to use it. Usually I would go like a dark umber if I was using Prismacolor, but because I'm going to try and just make it cool as much as I can, we go Espresso. So I'm just going to go into the corners, into the darker areas, and going lightly, even like some of these cheek areas. And I can kind of still see the grayscale underneath as well, so I'm going to try and fix that if I can. I feel like I'm running out of paper tooth. This paper is good to work on, but I feel we run out of tooth pretty quick. So I've just got to be careful. See how we're just deepening up the shadows. Now you don't have to do this on like every nook and cranny if you don't want to. Just build it up slowly. Pick the most obvious parts. Like under the chin, that's fairly obvious. Over on the side, that's fairly obvious. And then we can start to dip our toes into other areas if we want to, if we're feeling adventurous. I always like to get some good shadows around the eye creases and stuff, if I can, without it looking panderish. It's always a risk for me. We could do like a tiny bit here. And here. Let's just go over the eyebrow because it's in shadow. And we could do a little bit up here. I'm being very cautious because I don't want it to be like this huge indent in her head, the poor thing. You know, she hasn't come in contact with an auburn scepter or a staff or a mace or a very angry elf. Bit more shadows. And a bit here. And definitely in the ears. So what I'm going to do now is, now that I've done all of my colors, so this is 4 colors, guys. This is, yeah, super doable. 4 colors. So I've got our espresso, the sienna brown, the pink rose, and the cream. I'm going to cycle between these until I get a color vibrancy that I like. I'm probably going to use the espresso less and use the less colors more. Sorry, the remaining colors more. They'll be on the screen. I'm going to quickly time lapse the face, and then if there is anything else, any other colors that we need to add, then we will, and then we'll quickly talk about the rest of her skin and some thoughts and things before we move on to other elements. All right, gang, I think that's gonna do for the skin face tone for now. I can always come back and adjust, and I often do. I still need to do the eyebrows and the eyes and stuff like that. Yes, so I will often do the hair and the rest of the features and then go, you know what, the skin needs a bit of adjustment, so we can come back and do that. But for now, what I'm gonna do is using the same 4 colors and pretty much in the same way as I've been explaining throughout the video, I'm now going to go ahead and do her throat, her shoulders, and her hands the same way. So let's cycle through that one really quickly, and then we'll move on to the hair. Now, just quickly, it can be hard sometimes to get the same intensity right with different parts of the skin. So for example, I've spent so much attention and focus on the face that I have a natural tendency to want to rush this part and rush the hands as well. So I'm going to do my very best to get the same color saturation, the same temperature, the same feel and vibrancy from the face and also her neck as well. So just a little tip to be mindful of too is to make sure you're going for, yeah, the same color intensity. And if you feel like you just don't have the brains for it after you've spent like a massive chunk of time on the face, just give it a break and come back. Alrighty, I think that might do for the skin tone for now. We'll get to the eyes and the eyebrows once we've done the hair, which we're going to move on to next. Now, my approach to greys is I like to include both grey tones and also other colours in with the hair. I don't necessarily colour hair completely grey, and I'll show you what I mean by some swatches. So see here, this is Prismacolor. And I'll show you the pencils in a minute, but see here how I've got grey tones, but there's a tinge of brown in it. And I've also got a colour here that's a tinge of blonde. So this is to hint that our fairy maybe does have blonde hair and had blonde hair before she was grey. So you don't always have to use grey. You can throw some other colours in there as well. You could also swap this yellow colour. Sorry, I'll hide that so it focuses. You could swap this yellow colour for like a cool blue and like a pastel blue. You could swap it for pink. You could swap it for like a very light brown. It doesn't have to be yellow. So these are the colors I'm using today. And I'm going to do probably this section of the hair. And I'm going to start with my darkest color, which is 90% French Grey, PC 1076. I really like the French Greys and the Prismacolor. They're very, very warm grey. You could almost say they're like 90% muted brown. They have a really lovely tinge to them, and I think this is going to help with giving off the grey hair look without just being completely, you know, like a completely cool grey, or like just not black and white, so not like a continuation of what's already there. So 90% French Grey are going to be my darkest. Now, just looking at her, if I wanted to colour coloured hair, we're doing grey today, but I am leaning towards black. I think black would look really nice on her, but anyway, we're not going to do that today. I could do that on another fairy. So see where the shadows are the darkest? That's where I'm going to start. And I'm just going to like medium to hard pressure and just scumble my way out. There are different ways to colour hair. I have done the method before where you like flick it outwards, and I have a lot of videos on that. So if you want to head to any of my portraits, you'll probably find that method somewhere. But of late, I've been moving towards just like colouring the section. And especially with wax-based pencils, I really like this approach. I think it just suits my vibe at the minute. I don't know, it's just, you know, sometimes you just change up your methods a bit because you feel like it. So I'm mainly focusing on the shadows, but see how I'm also like dragging the pencil up a bit and I'm following some of the lines. And rather than focusing on, you know, like strand by strand, we can focus on groups of hair. So we can focus on this bit next. So it's a darker area here. And this works on Hannah Carlson's portraits as well. And I'm going to drag it up wherever there's shadow areas. And so if you're working in a non-grayscale book, it'd just be the areas that are tucked in, the areas that are like the smallest almost. If you want to go that way, start with that. Like that. And then I'm flicking out a little bit if I just want to get like a really thin line of colour. And where else could we do? We could do down here. Now, if you wanted to do white hair, you could actually just leave this and you could add maybe just a couple of pencils in. Like you could just add in this one and then add something super light and then a white. But let's go with grey. We can do white another time if we want. All around. So see how I'm just colouring sections and I'm like outlining sections? So I'd grab here, work my way up as well. My aim is to like mush all of these colours together. And then I'm probably gonna go from the corner. I know that there was a light gap in there, but I'm gonna cover it up. You can use the grayscale as a guide, or you can completely go over it. Even with this bit here, I'm probably just gonna cover it. And I'm doing that because it's tucked in. It's tucked in behind something, so naturally we're going to have a bit of a shadow. Although you could say it's backlit from the sky, but no, I'm not doing that. Not doing that for that particular part. And I might just cover that up as well. It depends on the look you're going for too. I'm not really after like super backlit things. If I wanted to do like a glow effect, I might, but this is all right. You can just feather out some colour. So I'm going to now go through the whole hair and do the same thing with this same pencil. Same technique. Just going to make my way around. Continuing to make some clusters of hair. Shading the darker areas. The occasional flick. If I feel like it needs it. The other thing that I like about colouring this way and not doing super detailed hair strands is that if you're using softer pencils like Prismacolor, you don't have to keep the tip razor sharp. See how it's starting to blunt, but I'm still able to use it. I don't have to keep sharpening it, which is good. So I feel like I'm wearing down my pencil less. But of course, if you wanted to do super detailed strands, you'd probably use like a harder pencil such as a Polychromos, because you can maintain that point for longer. But with this colouring technique, for me, it's good because I don't have to continually go back to the sharpener and I can just sit here focusing on applying that colour, and it becomes like a meditative process. And so with hair back here that's tucked behind and it's behind her neck and stuff, and there's a lot of shadow, you'd actually just bring a light layer of this out forward through the whole thing. So you can see how I've coloured it over, but I've got different pressures. So yeah, I don't have to be looking after this pencil tip as much. I'm just going to let it blunt a little bit and I can still get the effect I want, which is good. Okay, I think that might do for that colour for now. And while I've got the pencil, let's just do some of the eyebrows as well. So I will do a little bit of a flicking motion for these. Just a little bit, and just softly bring it out there. Like that. I'm not like amazing at eyebrows. I always seem to like lose the shape that Christine's drawn, but oh well. Bit of that. The next color that I want to add is 50% French Grey PC 1072, and I'm just going to start working over the areas that I've already done. Build up the color outwards more. So we'd start from the darkest points and work our way out. Now I still want to leave some space for my other grey, and we're going to lightly flick in some of that yellow colour too. What's like a very muted cream colour, isn't it? Almost like a very cool yellow. So if you wanted to have white hair, you could almost, after this colour, you could leave it at that and then you could add your white colour in, maybe, as an option. You can always look at that. So I'm just doing some flicking now because I feel like it'd be good, but I don't do it for like the whole thing. And a bit out there. So I want some solid colour, so this is where I'd bring all that in. And then for down here, I'll probably have a bit more of a solid colour there. We don't need too much highlight there because it's underneath. We'll have a little bit. must say I'm really enjoying this page because it's not something that I would have picked for myself, and which is why I love requests that come through, because it's almost like a little challenge video for me, and I've really got to think outside of the box because, yeah, doing mature skin and hair is not something, as you know, that I'm very well versed in, so it's great to expand the skills. And it's also true because I'm part of the Christine Karron Colouring Collective group as well. I don't pick the pages, so I feel like I'm getting pages done that, yeah, I'd never pick, and I'm picking up skills, which is great. So as you can see, we're just building up some nice, very muted brown, grey colours. I think that's as much as I'm going to need because I still want to fit in another grey and like a pop of blonde. So I'm going to continue with this colour and pretty much, again, just use the same technique. When it comes to the hairline though, you can just scumble over it lightly. You could even do some flicks forward, downwards onto it because I don't want a harsh line. And I might even go back in with one of the skin tone pencils and like blend that in even further. So making my way around. Okay, that colour's done. Oh, I forgot that bit, hang on. Hold the phone, let me just grab the darker pencil. I must say, it is taking next to no time at all doing this hair. Usually can take ages, but this one's really quick. Which is great. Let me just fill that in and grab the pencil that we're on. There we go. I always do this, it's funny. Okay, next colour is, I'm going to use 20% French Grey, PC 1069. And same thing, but I'm gonna just use less of it. See how this is like, this is much more grey than the darkest colour that we had. So I'm just gonna use it to, I think I'm primarily gonna like flick it around. And I kind of like the way that the line art is coming through in its own way too, because it is grey and it kind of just adds to it. Kind of like how in the skin, it's the same thing. So see how I've got these like grey sections still. If we're doing a younger skin tone, I'd probably work harder to try and cover that up, but I think it suits really well. So we're going to use that to our advantage and just make it part of the artwork. So flicking that around. I'm also using this to like burnish some of the areas as well. I haven't completely covered the paper tooth. So this pencil's just a really good way to do that. And I find too, because when I did that French grey, I was beginning to think in the back of my head, oh, is this too brown? But I think we've got this pencil, I think it's really adding to that. And it's like greying everything up a little bit more. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm just going to make my way there around with this colour. I don't need to add too much, I don't think. I think the bulk of the heavy lifting's done. Proverbial heavy lifting, I should say. While I've got this pencil, I'm going to add a very tiny bit to the eyes, because our eyes are not stark white, just while I've got it, where the shadows are. We can add in a little bit of blue as well, potentially. A little bit of pink maybe, and there's a bit behind here. All right, next color is Seashell Pink, PC 1093. This is the one that looks yellow. I don't know why they call it pink, but anyway. And I'm gonna just throw in a smattering. I don't want too much. Just a little bit, just like flick it around. This is like a garnish. This is like the coriander that you put on your dishes. A little bit's good. Too much, ew, wrecks it. So just a bit. This is kind of hint that she was blonde once, or maybe she was brown with a little bit of blonde. Who would know? I think it looks like she was more brown back in the day. And now she's very peppery. This is a very peppery tone. You can vary your pressure as well. This kind of combination would be good too if you're looking to do like an ash blonde. You would just go less heavy on the darker French greys, or like if you're wanting to do an ash brown as well, you could maybe just add a warmer color in to like your mid-tones if you wanted to, maybe. It's an idea. Okay, a little bit there. That was quick. A little bit. Last color I'm going to use is white, and I've got my conjoined twins in the Prismacolor white. This is PC 938, and I might just sharpen it. And then we can just go through, and you can see my hand there, you might not. I'll see the pencil tip because it's quite small. We can just smooth out areas, and it's going to lighten it up even more. I like it. Just trying to flatten out all the tooth. I don't know if you can see, but see how there's like these white dots? That's what I'm trying to flatten out. You can see a fair bit here. Like it almost looks grainy. So yeah, I'm trying to flatten those out with this. But I don't want to lose some of the shadow color either. So I'm just going to work my way around. The Prismacolor white is very waxy. Usually I don't like it, but I feel like for this purpose it's doing a good job. I'm not using my beloved Derwent drawing white. So let's keep making our way around. So that is it for the hair, and I'm loving it. She's looking great. I think we've been able to achieve a grey look without losing too much of the colour. But again, if you would like less colour, you can always just swap the French greys for like a cool grey or like a warm grey in another set, because every set has different temperatures of greys, but if you put them all together, they're all on this massive spectrum. So for example, I think the French greys in the Prismacolor are very similar to the warm greys that are in the Polychromos. So they all differ in that way. Okay, I'm going to move on to her clothing now. So if you are just here for the skin tone and the hair, then that part's done for now, apart from the eyes. So if you'd like to join me for the rest, I'd love it if you did. I'm thinking, what am I thinking? What have I chosen? What am I thinking? I've chosen some pinks and some reds. What I'm hoping to have is muted with a pop of color. Even though there are a lot of colors in here, I probably won't use all of them at this stage. So I'm thinking more on the maroon side and the burgundy side, so this color, and the black cherry for some shadows, and maybe even some brown for some shadows over all these bright ones. I just want to have like pops of it. So we'll see how the tone ends up turning out. What I can do to stop the bright colors, for example, if I wanted to stop the matter, which is brighter, from overpowering the page, I would just apply and layer more burnt carmine. So yeah, kind of like I've done with her skin tone, I've got a lot more of the brown than the pink. And if I wanted to make it lighter, I would just have a lot more pink than the brown. So it depends. You can mix it up. I think what I'm going to start with, while we're talking about it, is the burnt carmine 193 in the Polychromos. And I'm thinking of having, yeah, like burgundy and then like muted green trim. These I'll probably leave for gold, gel pen, muted green trim, and the cape as well, potentially. I mean, we could thread some purple in there, but yeah, I like to go multicolor clothing. So what I might do is just start by layering this. What I'm thinking of doing is having the base layers to be Polychromos, and then I'll probably go with Prismacolor over the top. Generally, in this book, if I use both hard and soft pencil, I'll use the hardcore pencils first, so like your Polychromos, and then I'll put wax over the top. It's not a rule, it's just how I like to do it. Some people will say that it's a rule, but I don't, because I change it up all the time. So I think I'm going to colour most of the area in this colour. If you remember what we did with the pink on our first initial layers of the skin, it's kind of a similar approach I'm going to have with this. So just changing up my pressures depending on how much I want to cover. So harder pressure in the corner, work my way out. With not too hard though, because I do want to add a lot of layers. And then we'll just drag this out. I will also mention too that even though I have plans for the trim to be like a muted pea green color, I may have something completely different that's going to pop out once I color the fabric. So I'm well aware that that may happen, and I'm happy to change my mind if that is the case. I'm not entirely set. I'm not married to this particular combination. I'm happy for it to change. So that's just a little thing that I keep in the back of my mind whenever I'm coloring something, because me being able to visualize colors is not my strong point. It does happen sometimes, but it's not something that is just always there. So I plan to change, or I allow myself to change ideas and direction if I want to. So I'm just going to continue coloring the exact same way through the whole cloth with this pencil. Okay, that is this colour done. While I've got it, let's add a little bit to the lips. It's going to go from the corners. I'm going lightly I just want a little bit. I don't want to completely change the colour. Go in the shadows underneath. I just want to add a little bit. Yeah, a little bit will do. Okay, now I'm thinking what other colour do I want to add? So see how I've pretty much covered the whole thing in this colour. It's just varying pressures. So I've got a little bit more of a medium pressure in the shadows, a little bit, but majority is a light pressure. I'm just thinking of what other colour I want to use now. Why don't we throw in some red? Or like a more of a, I don't know, reddy red. Let's throw in dark red in the Polychromos, 225. If you don't have the Polychromos, you could absolutely use the Prismacolors. You could use mahogany red. That'd look pretty much the same. You could use chestnut, henna, all sorts. So I'm going to go through now and use this colour to build up my layers. So I'm pretty much starting from the same part on her arm. And I'm just going from the shadow areas and bringing it out. I don't know if I want to do it like on the whole area or I'll have some purple thrown in too. I don't know. We'll see. I'll keep adding bits here and there. So I'm just not going to bring it out as far. It's not going to cover everything like the burnt carmine was. I will just say too, see how she's got her sleeves all the way up? I don't know if you have noticed, but I do not like my sleeves up. I need to have them rolled. So I don't like my sleeves down. I have to roll them up. I get an ick because I feel like, yeah, I hate having my forearms covered. When it's cold outside, it's a different thing. But when I'm inside, I feel like I can't, like, I don't know. Like, that's my sleeve and that's sport mode, you know? I feel like I've got to have my arms in sport mode. I don't know why. I get a bit of an ick. I'm like, ugh, your arms. Pull up your sleeves. I don't know why. Maybe we could add in some purple. So let's just layer this up. Going from the outside, because it is a darker colour. You could just do all of this if you want. You could just, if you want to go just red, you could do that. You might not like multicolour fairies, it's completely fine. So I'm just going around the shape. So I'm just going to go through now and put it around the edges, but not all of the edges. Some of them, maybe like half. All right, I'm going to put that pencil down. I would like to play around with one other colour, and I don't know. Let's scribble something out. Do I want that kind of magenta-y colour? Do I want that one? I feel like we're getting that magenta colour with the pencils that are there. I really want to try the purple. Let's try that. If I don't like it, it's fine. The other option I have is this kind of purple, but thoughts? Let's go light red violet actually. Yeah, let's do that. We'll do that first and then we can add in the other one if we want to. So sorry, that was 135 in the Polychromos. When I get excited, I forget to slow down and talk through all the details of the pencil. It's obviously still using Polychromos at the minute. I'm just going to see if this does anything. Like, it is darkening things up, but I just want to see if it's like different enough. But we can layer that blue violet over the top. Or maybe, I'm just thinking with her cloak, like what if we, I was originally going to go muted greens, but then that might just end up looking like that. And I've already got that on the page behind it. So what if we did, yeah, what if we did like blue, violet cloak and then gold? Yes, okay, we'll do that. Yep. Yep, got it. Okay, great. Good-o, happy. Yeah, because if we did it like a blue-violet cloak, probably throw some green in it. But yeah, with the gold. Yeah, I like this purple. I'm just going to have to keep adding it. And maybe I'll go, in the end, get like a dark purple in the Prismacolor or something. I'll go and get that. You can still stick with your muted greens if you want to. If the colour palette I showed you at the start, if that's what you would like to do. Maybe I should just get in the habit of not showing the colours that I'm thinking of, but then, I don't know, part of me wants to still include it because I like to show you how I change and how things morph over time. Like, I think that's kind of part of the whole thing too, so. We could also add this colour in with the blue violet stuff. So I'm just bringing this out in more sections and see how over here in the folds of fabric you can actually leave some white space and it kind of adds a bit of a highlight. So I'm going to go through now and just keep closing up the gap with this. I'm going to work from the edges outwards. And then we'll see what we get. We might reevaluate and I'll get some other colours maybe. Potentially, I'll see what I've got in front of me. I'll play around with it. You could even layer this colour up over the red as well. You don't have to keep them separate. You can create like a entirely different colour like that. Now, as you can probably see, I'm adding more of this colour than I thought I was going to. I'm kind of overlapping it with the other colours, with the red and the burnt carmine as well. Just blending them all together. I could very well add this colour on the cape. Maybe, I'm just looking at my muted greens. Maybe we make the book green. I don't know. I think I was originally going to go brown, but maybe, yeah, thoughts. Thinking thoughts, and that's a strand of hair there that I've missed. It's Thursday today. Thinking thoughts Thursday. But I do like this colour. I do want to thread this purple colour through a lot more. And now that I'm looking at the trim, I'm like, oh, do I go violet trim? Do I do gold, like gold metallic? Like not with pencil, with gel pen or something. Lots of options. Ooh. Okay, I really want to add, because I'm going to go violet for the cape, let's add some of that in to the fabric that's already there. Let's go blue violet 137. I want to use this in the cape, but let's add some in here. So I'll start from the shadows. Work my way out. It'll probably just blend, well, because I am layering, it will just blend. It won't be a solid colour, but if we want more solid colours to come through, we'll just add our prismas over the top. So I do want this to be quite a... If I can get it vibrant, we'll see. See how many layers I can get on there. That's cool, isn't it? Yeah. I was going to say too, if you wanted this lighter look for her and like a little bit more muted, you could absolutely just now go through with white and just, you know, burnish that off if you wanted to, or maybe you like a bit of a more sketchy look. So you could absolutely just leave it there. You don't have to use more colors if you don't want to. If you blend that in with the white, then you've kind of created some like pastel-y tones from your Polychromos. So there you go. And then let's add a little bit here. Yeah, this is looking fun. Look at that. This is looking great. It's looking fun. Yes. Just trying to think of what Prismacolor colors we could add, because I'm really liking how these layers are building. I mean, I could just build up with the Polychromos and sit here for 5,000 hours. I'm going to add a little bit down the bottom here. These are beginning to look like my curtains that I had in my room as a teenager. I had curtains that had like a pink blue shift. The fabric was like purple chiffon, but yeah, it had a shift in it when you move it around in the light. It was psychedelic. It was great. Okay, so while I've got this pencil in my hand, I'm going to go through and layer the cape as well. So I'm going to probably do a similar approach to like I did with the very first layer of the fabric, is I'm going to cover most of it, but just with different pressures. So start with this one. If I go like a medium pressure in the shadows, because we're going to layer it and we need room. And then I'm going to lightly bring it out. Oh, this is a great idea. I think I could probably add, what's this? This is blue violet. I reckon I could add some darker blues as well, like some royal blues. Maybe we could do that. I don't know if I want to necessarily, because this is quite a purple looking violet to me. I mean, you know, purple is violet, I guess. But I am thinking, yeah, more blue. Definitely more of a bluey purple. We could take one step further towards the blue shade in the shadows. So for this area where you want to get all of that covered, hold your pencil back and you can just like feather it over, and it increases the angle and the length of which you can carry that pen. You can drag that up, and then you can see my hatch lines. That's all right, because to cover that up, just go the other way. And the more you do that, the more it's going to look even. So it's like cross hatching now. And then you can, I'm doing like long ovals. It's like you grab the oval on either end and I've stretched it. Yeah, I definitely want more blue, like a navy blue into this, I reckon. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the cloak or the cape like this. Alrighty, I think the next colour that I want to go is for the cloak, but let's go darker. End and Throne Blue, PC208. And I'm going to just use this for darker shadows. Well, shadows, I suppose, because they're already darker. Now see how this is like a lot more blue? I kind of just want to blend blue and purple together. And I feel like on this paper, Prismacolors are better if you layer them. Kind of like how I've done with the skin. And yeah, the hair turned out pretty good too. So I'm not going to press too hard. Because I found in the past, just for me, if I press too hard too soon with Prismacolors, I end up just getting this like waxy glob and I don't like it. But that's just me and how my hand pressures are, etc. So everyone's going to be different. So just shade it like that. Just going to try and like, yeah, do the shadows like I said, but also try and mix it in with the purple. Or the violet that's already there. So what I'm aiming to do now is just add, on a very basic level, add blues and reds into this. I think, yeah, I want splashes and I definitely want pinks and purples in there because I've, you know, spent a lot of time getting those in there, but I wouldn't mind, yeah, just getting some rich reds and blues in too, just to complement all of that. And for the darker colors. So I'm just blending them together so that they work nicely. So see how I'm just like layering over the top of the Polychromos with the Prismacolor? Alrighty, that's that colour. And just while, actually just going to finish off this section down here. Got another blue in the Prismacolor that I want to add. I'm just not sure if it's like too the same, so we'll try it. Let's get a few more of that in. It's not a type of blue I use very often. Alright, pop that one to the side. This one is violet blue. I'm going to try it. It might be a little bit the same, but we'll give it a crack. So maybe just watch first. Just going to try it. So violet blue PC933. Sometimes it's on the swatches. They look really different, but when you like start colouring with them, they're the same. So yeah, a bit hard to tell. It's like a little bit more purple, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's like a little bit of a richer colour. Yeah, we'll use it. I feel like I've... Yeah, no, it is a bit different. And I wonder if, like, if I add a white pencil, if it'd look different. Again. Just like my English is gooder. Yeah, no, we'll use it. So I'm just gonna accentuate more of the shadows with it because I think I want to start adding in a lighter color now. So accentuating shadows, covering up more of the tooth to see how I'm like layering at the bottom there. And I'm just gonna like drag it up, light pressure. Yeah, no, it is more purple, yep. I have a feeling that the dogs are about to start playing. Ace is making tantalizing noises to Remy. I don't know if you can hear him. So I'm going to do this same side. Same pencil on the other side. And I might spend a bit of time just building up this so it looks a little bit more like that. How about that? Let's go ahead with this color and do the same thing. Just thinking, let's add Parma Violet. That might be nice. PC1008. So more on the purpley side. And if we just layer it in, this could be like a fun little color shift. Lots of layering today. If I'm using too many pencils for your taste, or, you know, for your brain capacity right now, because we all have those days, that is fine. Just choose less. Maybe you could take out the Polychromos and just have the Prismacolors, vice versa. I mean, it's definitely possible. I only used 4 pencils for the skin tone, so I'm just kind of I'm blending this in, but I'm just dragging it out more on the whiter areas like that, see? It's down on the side there. I do need to blend a bit more up. Like that. So I'm going to apply this to both sides. So I am pressing a little bit harder now. It's because I am closing up that gap. And I've got a lot of layers on here, so I feel like I can. And to get the color to pop through, you kind of need to at this point. I think I'm going to add a light blue now, which is Sky Blue Light, PC1086. And I'm going to apply this over most of it, but also our light areas as well. I'm kind of burnishing with it, but I do want to add white. So I'm going to go over pretty much everything and just mush it all out. So like press maybe like a medium hard pressure, just enough so you can smush your colors, but try not to like go absolutely crazy with it. Because then it can kind of get too streaky. We can kind of see how by applying this light blue, it's brightening up a lot of the other colors underneath it, which is cool. But I do want to add white to these highlights like here and there. So I'll leave a little bit of white space. And for clothing, I want the same effect, just different colors. I think I'm going to add, just like I've added a lot of blue to this, I want to add some red to that as well. So the red's going to blend in with the layers that I've already got. On second thoughts, maybe I do want the blue highlight instead of white, so we'll just go ahead and do that. I just saw this bit and I was like, yeah, I like it. bit of a extra burnish down here, but looks fine. We could go ahead and darken that up later, but I think it's all right. Okay, next color. I'm going to go black raspberry for the darkest areas in Prismacolor, PC 1095. And so that would be like, if it's going to focus, I'll lean it like that. That's all right. Sometimes when I color on the right-hand side of the page, depending on what I'm coloring, the camera focus can get a bit trigger happy, so just got to watch out for it. So just some darker areas. You can bring that out. In the corners, underneath things. So I'm just blending it in with what's already there. Just adding in more red. Righto, before I add in a lighter red, let's add a dark purple and, so PC 931, Prismacolor. Let's go over these like already existing purple spots that we can see. See how that's still coming through? Let's just add to that with this darker color. I'm in full playing around with color mode, so yeah, excuse me. Bring it around like that. Sometimes it can help if you're colouring like pointy things like an elbow, see how my pencil's angled that way. So I can get this kind of shape. And then when I want to do this side, I change my angle so it's that way. So you don't have to try and do this like hard like scribble with your hand the wrong way. Just if you're feeling a bit uncomfortable, try changing your hand position and see if that helps. Oh, big scratch. This dark purple's a little bit scratchy. That's all right. And we can even add some into shadow areas around the red. Because there's a little bit of purple there, so we just like mix it up a little bit like that. And there's a fair bit here. So I'm just going to go around and pretty much repeat that just on the areas where I can see that I've got my purple that I've used with the Polychromos. So just adding on top of that. Alright, this might do in the purple department for the minute, because I want to now add Crimson Lake, PC 925. This is a lovely, rich, dark red. Not as dark as the red that we just used, but dark enough that, yeah, it is nice. More of a deep red than a dark red, maybe. Rich red. I'm just going to go over where the red bits are. And just drag it up. You could mix it in with the purple and see what you get. That's always fun. So you do a bit like that. Drag it over the edges of the purple. when you combine the purple and the red, we're kind of creating like a red violet red color. Looks nice. So I'll continue going over this side. I'm going to bring it out further. My intention is to bring it out further into the white parts. Okay, let's do something fun and add in Parma Violet. Why not? So this is the color that we used here. Why don't we try bringing it in through on the fabric and see what we get? So again, I'm just gonna like search for my purple areas. I'm wondering now if we potentially try Deco Pink and use it the same way that we have the blue. So this is the PC 1014 and I have an ant on my hand. And let's try, I'm just going to start like an inconspicuous part. I'm going to try mushing all these layers together. What about that? Because the pink's going to blend well with the red and the purple, and the purple and the red blend well together anyway, but it's not like I'm adding, you know, green to it or anything. I was thinking about yellow, but maybe we won't do that. I feel like I did that in the last video and that was cool, but I don't know, I don't feel like I need to do it now. Something different. And because it's a bigger object, maybe we do need to bring through the white. Maybe. I won't speak too soon. So I'm just going to go through now with this Deco Pink and just bring out all the colour so it looks like that. Harder pressure, probably medium to hard. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, but I am pressing really hard now. I'm going to try and blend and burnish all of this because I really like the look of how it's coming together like that. So we're going to do the whole thing. Okay, now for our book. And I actually don't know what color other than brown. I'm going to have brown on the leather spine and we might have brown here, I think. I'm just not quite sure on like a color and I'm still trying to think of like a background color as well. I think with the leather book part, we would mix, or we would use the same colors for the sticks. Let's go with a raw umber from the Polychromos. And I might just start off with the spine and just do a light layer. This is arguably a warm brown, but I really don't know. I'm just gonna make it up as I go because I'm stuck. I'm not usually a book colouring person, so I don't know. I mean, like deep turquoise might look cool, but this is so funny because I had this like full-on muted colour palette and now I've just completely changed direction. So, I don't know. I have to keep on just chipping away, see what we get. So I'm just going like darker on the outside, working my way in. Let's just carve out some shadow. Shadow underneath this one. I think a lot of these book details will be gold. And I'm nearly finished with this colour. I'm just going to like deepen up some of these creases a bit, create some shadows with this colour. See how I'm just going around the edges of the brackets and yeah, some of these book creases here, the edges. I've got ideas starting to form in my mind of what we could do. I'm just trying to solidify that before I say what I'm thinking. I might add some different browns in before that. Browns. Did I say brains? I don't know. Okay, the next colour I think we could go towards is Bista in the Polychromos 179. And I'm going to go over it again. Deeper in the shadows this time. And still drag it out a little bit. Let's get some. We could actually make the spine a bit darker. I could bring out that espresso that we used in the Whoosy What's It on her skin tone, maybe. And just going around all the edges again. Just trying to get some shadows in. So I'm going to just continue to build up the shadows with this. I'm not going to completely go over that first colour, but I'm just going to build up around it. Alright, so that's that colour there. That's like the second one. Now let's try Espresso PC 1099 in the Prismacolor. And we can use this to deepen up things even more. And then we might even go over with that seashell pink that we used in the hair. We could do a bit of that for like the lightest spots maybe. And then potentially I'll have a better idea of what I want to do for the rest. Oh my gosh. I will, which you will see, I will do the branches above her head in the same colours as the book. I think that'd be good. I think I want the accents to be gold, I'm pretty sure. But we'll look at that as well. So I'm just going to take the espresso here and just do the deeper shadows. See how I'm just deepening up everything? All right, let's try now the Seashell Pink. PC 1093. Let's just close up the gap a little bit and I'll just see whether it's light enough to colour the whole thing or whether I should add white. Which I feel is the question of the day. Oh yeah, well it's light enough for the spine. I feel like we could add just a little bit in and then definitely add the white too. Let's see if we can get a bit of a difference between the spine and this. Just a little bit there, a little bit there. Down the bottom here. Okay, where are my conjoined twins? PC 938. And let's go over those highlights. That's nice. I feel like I've made some kind of metal colour if you squint. Oh yeah, this part too. That's all right, that can be white. Now, part of me is wondering, just with this nameplate, part of me is wondering if I make that ivory, so if I just try and accentuate the colour that it already is a bit more, and maybe all the detailing can be gold, or even like a green colour, and then black writing. I don't know. I'm struggling to figure out like what other colours to add in. And I don't know what I'm going to do with the background. So I'm going to leave that part for now. And I'm actually going to use the same four colours and a white for the branches. And I want to start from dark to light. So if we grab our espresso again, and I'll just go for like the underside and the outline. Oof, that was Remy. She likes to bang on the door as if I can't hear her already. Yes, I do not have a silent house, so when I have my videos on, when I'm filming, there's going to be lots of fun sounds. This is how it is. I can do silent videos and put music on it, so you know you won't get any of that, but then you won't hear me talking, so I don't know. Don't know. All right, see, I'm just like outlining that. I'll just have the underside in this colour. I'll do one with you, then we can go off and do the other. I'm definitely glad we've got brown in that book because it does just help ground things a little bit. I just don't know what background colour. I'm really stuck. I'm going to have to think about it. Yes, the conundrums. Like that. That's the espresso. Let's go straight to the, let's go to the raw umber. That's next. 180 in the Polychromos. And I'm thinking we just might go straight to the seashell. Because we don't have a lot of space, so we don't have to use all the colours. Maybe we just go straight for the white. Yeah. Let's go straight for the white. So I think I do want to have, yeah, like all the accents gold. I think these flowers, I want to have them just pure gold as well, because they're kind of like blending into the border, and I would like the border to be gold. So there's that colour. And let's grab our white PC 938. and mush all of that together. So I'm going to mush all of this. And then I'm going to go finish the twig off on the right hand side, and then we will regroup and figure out what next. I think the details of the book, or maybe I do the background first and then figure out the book. I just know that I want all my accents to be gold, so I need to figure out something. I'm thinking maybe I grab a color that's kind of related to these, like maybe if we go like a super navy blue, or maybe we go with our ivory and the black and like a little bit of green, or no green and just more gold. I don't know. We do have this like shading here too to contend with. So yeah, thoughts. All right, before we move on, I'm actually thinking I want to do her eyes brown. So I'm going to grab the espresso again, PC1099. Could go green, but I think I'm going to go brown. So I'm just going to go for the top edges and work my way down and taper off like that. See, I've left a gap at the bottom. Actually might fill that gap in a little bit more. And a little bit more. Little bit more. Let's add that raw umber 180 in the Polychromos. Yeah. Yeah, nice. And let's grab the espresso again, $10.99. And I just want to darken her eyes up a little bit. So see how I'm just going underneath the eyelid like that. Let's just get some colour going in there. I think that's what it needs. So you could just go like around the eye. I potentially did too hard a crease. I'll try and fix that. Give me a sec. Maybe. I feel like if I go like that, it's like, yep, looks great. Like that, you're like, line. But hey, it's done now. That's fine. Alrighty, on to the next bit. On second thoughts, I feel like if I do a neutral beige background, it's probably going to blend too much in with her hair tone. So I'm going to scrap that idea, and I'm going to use instead some Kuretake granulating color paints. And I think I'm going to use the first one here, which if we look at the back, that is Aurora Red. And I'm just going to move my book out of the way. If I open up the pack, they all look fairly brown. Now you may have these, so you may know what I mean. And we also have a spare tray. What I'm going to do is the Aurora Red is the first color here. I'm going to add a whole heap of water to this, and I'm going to add the paint to the water. Let the colors separate a bit, so that I can pick and choose what colors I apply to the background and where, because the two colors that sit in this particular pan, I think go with her outfit. So what I've done is just tested various amounts of water to paint ratios and just gonna see how they separate per, you know, different example. And I think my favorite one is probably what's actually in this pan at the minute. Now the iPhone camera is probably not, as I'm looking at the pan with my eyes and I'm looking at the camera image, they're not the same. This is a much more blue to my eyes than it is to the camera, but if I kind of tilt it around. Can you see how they've like separated? I am new to these, so I'm still very much in the experimental stage, which like you have to be at some point, don't you? So I think I'm going to use this one because what I want to do is use the blue, if I can try and get that for the main areas, and then add in like the little bits of red, almost as if she's like cast a spell on the sky. So let's grab our coloring page again. I'm going to use a Fumui brush, number 4, round. I'm going to try and just go like wet on dry, just so I don't use too much water. I don't know if that's technically the best way to do it, but I'm just going to do it this way and see what happens. I'm really not looking to get it super perfect at this stage. I just want to try things and see for myself what techniques I like. So pretty much what I'm going to do is just like shift this around until I can kind of see the color that I want and start applying it, and try not to tip it on myself. I am being cautious because of the space that I have to work with. And because it's not watercolor paper as well. I'm going to try and go across. It's a bit hard to do big strokes of it, really. So I've just tipped it so that I've got most of the blue color at the top, and I'm just trying to get that. But I obviously want some red streaks through it, and I can, even if I want more concentrated colors, I can just go straight to from the pan if I want. But like for this first bit, I'm just going to be really cautious and just, you could almost say this is like a wash. I don't know. I am just figuring it out at this stage. But already I've got some nice colors coming through, which is what I want. So you absolutely don't have to go out and buy these colors if you don't have them. You can just use watercolor, or you can use pencil if you want. Any medium that you like. I'm not encouraging you to go and spend money for one page. But gosh, if you want to, it's your hobby. All right, I think that's as neat as I'm going to get it. I mean, we could always put it on the book, but I'm just going to leave that for now and pop this to the side. I'm not going to tip it out yet, just in case I do want to put it elsewhere. We've got the feathers to do as well. I think now what I want to do is the gold, and I'm going to use my GellyRoll 551 in gold. It's the tint that I want, and I'm going to do it on the border as well as the trim and the book lockets and things like that. And probably what I'll do for the border and the trim is just add some gold glitter over the top, and it'll dry clear and you'll see this color underneath. So I'm just going to go through and maybe let's start right to left. So I might do so if I do just everything right to left. So you could do paint for this, but I feel like I'm going to make this really messy. And the only kind of gold paints that I have are a really bright yellow. So I'm just going to do the whole thing in gel pen. I have 3 of these and they're all like, you know, a quarter full. So between them I have a pen. Well, most of a pen. So we should be able to get this done. It's just going to take a while. So I'm just going to fill in the line. I'm trying to stay in the line. Sometimes I find that if I go over it, it just looks a bit gross. I've kind of regretted every time I've chosen to go over the line. All right, so this is going to be fairly boring. I'm going to speed it up and you'll see what I'm doing, but it's just the same technique every time. Okay, now that I've done like most of the gold, just like around the book and stuff, I actually think I'm gonna go with, pretty sure I said one of my ideas was to do like ivory and black and gold. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna pick up the Seashell Pink PC 1093 in Prismacolor. This was the color that we used as like accent color in her hair. So I'm actually gonna bring that through to the book, and I am just gonna do like a light wash of it. So if I get that coloured in, and then I can do all the little patterns on it in gold, and the writing could probably be in gold too, or black, but I'm just wondering if black might look too harsh because I've got black nowhere else on the page. I could use a very dark brown, but I don't know if I have a dark brown that is going to suit. So I will continue to think on that. But if we just get, you know, a bit of a wash of this coloured. I mean, I could use dark brown pencil. Could use the espresso actually, yeah. I was thinking of acrylic markers actually, which is why I said I don't think I have anything. Yeah, we could just use pencil. I don't know why I didn't think of that in the first place. Lol. That's funny. Just a light wash of that a bit down the bottom. Let's grab the Espresso PC 1099. And if I can see it, yeah, I can. If I don't like it, I can always cover it up in a gel pen. Not as neat, but so I'm just going to go through and continue to outline the letters, color it in, and then we'll have a look and see what we think, and if we need to change any of it, or if my writing covering over just looks horrible. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now what I'm going to do is grab that Seashell Pink again for the paper, Seashell Pink PC 1093. I'll actually just colour to about roughly near the middle. Just let that be white there. And then I'll actually grab the actual white, PC 938, and let's use with that end. Get that paper sorted, and I want to keep going with the gold now. So what I'm going to do is all the little patterns that are in it, I'm going to accentuate those because the the gel pen nib is small enough so we can do little love hearts, little squiggles. You could leave it there if you like, but I'm going to cover it up so it's gold. Okay, I think as I've been colouring, I've been thinking I would like the feathers to be purple. So see how we've got like some purples through the cloak and her clothing as well. So let's actually use that to our advantage. Let's have that as a bit of an accent. So I'm going to go with Parma Violet first, PC 1008. And this will potentially be the darkest colour, don't know yet. So I'll just like, pardon the pun, feather it out. Oh dear. I don't know if you usually get purple feathers, but there is a purple bird somewhere. In her little world that is like, bro, you took my feathers. How dare? How dare you? So I'll just flick it up like that. I like the texture that Christine's got on these feathers. So I'm going to try and keep it. We could have that one blue maybe. Yeah, let's have that blue. Let's just... a bit more there. Let's put that colour down. Why don't we go Indian Throne Blue, PC 208 in the Prismacolor. There's a bird somewhere with very dark blue feathers in her world. Again, not happy. Or maybe he was, and he was like, yeah, bro, you can have my feathers. Let's just grab the Parma Violet again. I think I'm just going to do the center. That's fine. Then what I might do is use Sky Blue Light PC 1086 and just blend all of that together. Get this lovely light blue, this lovely bright blue with both of those. I love how the lighter colours do that, so great. Wow, there are some funky birds around. While I've got, let me just tweak something. I noticed I didn't fill in a blue gap down there, so I'll just fill that in. Good. Okay, I want to add some sparkle, but I want to add sparkle in a different way. I want to use a stencil. I've got a circle stencil and I want to do some things because I want to add sparkle to this. I'm thinking of adding both the gold and the sparkle rather than just spraying it on the page and letting it land where it's going to land, because I've got all this detail I want to keep. I'm going to use a stencil so I can kind of control where it goes. And so it looks like little, you know, fairy bubbles. So I'll do the sparkle first. I'm happy with the background. I'll do the sprays first before I do the glitter because they'll probably dry quicker. And I'm going to use a mix of gold and sparkle because I like them both. And the sparkle has kind of like a champagne kind of tinge to it. So I'm going to give them a shake so I can get all that sediment kind of mixed up. Then I've got, this is a bubble stencil. Got this from Amazon. It took like 6 months to get here. So I'm going to avoid the face. And so we can do some background stuff. So if I lay it, I want it to be around here. So if I lay it there, and then let's cover up the areas that we don't want it to spray in with some paper. I've never done this before. I just had, this kind of came to me as an apostrophe, which otherwise known as an epiphany. When I was just doing the border. So we'll spray, and if we can try and like not have any circles that are half done. So if I just move that up, there we go. I don't think I've got any circles that are like half covered, apart from that one. That one doesn't matter. So I'm going to grab the sparkle first, shake that up, 30 centimeters away-ish, maybe 20. Give that a couple of sprays. And then I'll do the same with the gold, a couple of sprays. Then I can remove that. Gee, I hope this works, because this will be a great way to do this. And then I can wipe that off as well. Okay, so if we hold up what we've got, I'm gonna show you what it does. I'll go into the other room once we've done this page. But yeah, it's just got like little bubbles of it. So we'll do some more. We'll have a look in a sec, but that is actually a lot better and a good technique to do, especially if you're trying to avoid certain areas and you don't want to do like a cutout. I also have found that you can place a cloth and you kind of like, you know, angle it around the subject. However, I've found that it just leaves this massive harsh line if you get like your cloth like 1% over or under, and it's just more difficult to correct. So I think maybe I'm going to do it like that going forward. And it kind of does look good with, you know, like a couple of splodges everywhere as well. Just a different technique if you don't want to do like the whole whopper thing in Sparkle, which I often like to do. Okay, glitter hologram 2796. I'm just going to do my usual, open up the tub. This is, I just have a standard brush that I use. I do clean it and get all the goop out, but I'm just going to brush that on, and this is really stiff because I haven't cleaned it. So it's going to sound really scratchy. It'll dry clear, as you know. Ugh, come on. Why do I not clean my brushes? I forget. I don't clean them. I forget and regret. There's a new phrase for you. I need to like burn it on my eyelids. Remember. So that'll dry. I want to put it on the lettering as well. And I can get it clear enough to do that, that's fine. Small enough, I should say. And it'll be clear enough that it won't look all goopy like this. Could have done it over the whole front cover or this ivory section, but nah, let's not do that. Oh, I need to do her nails too. All right, that'll do, donkey. Let's do the nails. I think I'm just gonna grab the dark red from the Polychromos, and I've sparkle all over me. If I can grab it without touching anything, let's go flip around. I mean, you don't have to do them painted, but man, her nails are long. Ugh, how'd you do anything? Okay, let's let that dry for a bit and then have a look. By the way, I've let the Kuretake sit here for over an hour. Look how extra that has shifted. Okay, so that's a note for me for the future, that if I want to do this, let it sit for an hour and then I can really play with it. And then these ones have done the same thing. Look at that. Oh yeah. That's cool. I really like that. I mean, I could add more to the background, but I really like how muted that is. I think it really suits, especially because she's so bright. And I do like that we've got a subtle hint of color, so we'll leave it there, because like I'm already looking really puddly and muddy in some spots. I don't want to make it worse. What do you reckon, guys? Do you like the sparkle circles? I think they look really good if you just want to like concentrate it and not have it everywhere. But yeah, it's definitely more subtle, which is good. There we go. Secrets of something. There we go, guys, our completed page. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hopefully I've been able to help you a little bit with your mature skin tones and grey hair, even just giving you some different ideas for portraits or any colour palette ideas, etc, etc. So don't forget to give this video a like, give it a hype if you like, up to you, and subscribe if you're keen for more colour alongs and colouring tutorials. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks again. Bye bye.